to part 2 of the miniature postbox diorama build. So what I'm going to be doing in part 2 is focusing on building the postbox itself. So to do this, I'm going to be using plastic card in various thicknesses, but I'm also going to use some plastic card rodding as well. There you go, very thin plastic card, and that will be wrapped around to kind of give some sort of like some detail to it, basically. So I'm not necessarily going to need the base too much today, but I think we'll crack on and get started. So what I've done there to begin with is I've just marked out how the depth that this will sit into the base, because by doing that, then everything I build on, it's got a nice sort of footing to kind of keep it inside the base. So that's a good place to start. Right. The only thing I've learnt with Sharp is they don't always work on plastic. This tends to be drying out a little bit. So. I always measure twice as well, because otherwise I've found in the past I've come across little errors. Things haven't quite met joined up. That could still happen today. It's never out of the question. I'm going to actually use scissors for this. That's good though, because the fact we've had to just trim off that bottom piece there, it does mean that we can use that a little bit later for a nice bit of detail. My goodness me, pretty much that was guess. That was complete guesswork. That's, if I'm not mistaken, going to join up quite nicely. Get a bit of a fold going in this, a roll even. We're on a roll. Good, yeah. Let's move on. Okay. So now I'm going to start putting in some of the details where those are going to sit. So example, like the little door that you'd get on the post box. Fact, let me just. This is what I'm using as like a reference on Instagram. And so you've got a little door to be able to detail. We've also got that the little screen there that tells you, you know, what days of the week you can post your, what times and things. And then we've got actually the box itself, the opening itself, so a few bits of ribbing and stuff as well. So we'll crack on. About 1 centimetre, I think, for the box, and that means the door is 15 millimetres, 0.5 centimetres wide. Then it kind of gives a good ratio. Sometimes I guess things. Sometimes it's not everything is absolutely on the money. I mean, with this, they're not necessarily real. Well, they are replicas of real post boxes, but what I'm doing, but. You know, but you can kind of got a bit of a license to do what you want to do, sometimes I have to remember that. Just going to colour that in to remind me. Right, now you might be thinking, why don't I put the detail on now while it's flat instead of trying to do it when it's wrapped around here? You might not be thinking that. It depends, that's where my head kind of goes with these things. But if I put it on now, what happens is when I do come to wrap it around a tubing, all the details will ping off because they're not stretched in the right manner to be able to wrap around that pipe. So I have to think carefully and think, well, I'm going to have to apply that first and then apply the details bit by bit. So let's crack on. Right, so now I've cut all that out, I've got an actual hole now for if anybody did want to post the letters. So right, now we can get and actually stick that on. Sometimes what I do is I'll actually put a bit of super glue in the area that I need, maybe not that much. So okay, it all adds to the effect. It's all part of the art. And then, so it's the only thing with Sharpie as well, it smudges if you get super glue in that. So if I put that bit of on there, which is one of my details I'm going to need to sort of build it out, so that holds it in place. So I've got two choices now. I can either still carry on using super glue, or I can use my plastic weld. If I put my lid on Sharpie, which I'm going to do, I'm going to use plastic weld, and then don't put it all the way, but just enough to hold it. So, because that stuff dries in seconds, so as it does super glue, but this it just evaporates. So, so if the first coat doesn't work, try again. So look, and then it might because it's at the end here, it might need just a little bit more help. And obviously got that overhang, which we can cut off. He says, there we go, look at that. And it posted itself on the way through. Right, so now we've done that little piece, we need to grab a bit more plastic card. My favourite type of plastic card, the thinnest type. I absolutely love. Let's get a nice straight line there, and then we need 3mm, bit of 3mm. For this one I'm going to use super glue, I think, just to help it round. You'll find it kind of pushes itself along as well. super glue. It's quite good in that respect. Just don't get your fingers stuck to it, because you actually leave an imprint. You can do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that trusty bit of plastic hard pipe in, and I'm going to start to do a couple of details around the top here, but I need to get a bend in there so that it will help me, because what happens otherwise is it will ping off. It won't play ball at all. So it doesn't look most appetising at the moment. Not that you're going to eat it, but I don't know, unless you eat plastic, that's going to be a new one on me. That can be the fiddliest bit, but actually that's gone really well. It's actually pretty decent. Right, I'll do the other bit, and then I'll come back and talk about them, I think. Right, so I've actually added on the door now. I've also added in some hinges, which I quite like. I absolutely love hinges, so I think they're a great little detail to have. I've got the opening there. So what we're going to do now, we're going to add on the top. Now to do that, assortment here of cogs and wheels and things, which I think are awesome. But I've actually picked out one actually in particular that I thought is perfect for part of the roof of our post box. And basically it's these notches around the edge that I want to include. It's a bit of detail, and you could spend ages putting plastic hard details around the top piece, but be a bit easier to use a cog, I think, and it's going to look really good. So without further ado, let's crack on with it. Right, so by laminating those two bits together, you see you get those notches around the edge, which so that it's quite a good effect really, but these post boxes seem to have them generally. I'll just give that a bit of a, and then we're going to apply that to the top. Do this just to see. And then if you need to, you can go around. And you might be thinking, oh yeah, that's it, sorted. You know? Apart from the little window on the front, which I will add in. But on the top it's kind of like a domed effect. So what I'm going to use for that is, I thought about milliput. Do like my milliput, fantastic stuff. But because I've got to stand there and bond it together, the two halves for like 3 minutes. That's kind of my time I tend to use. I'm actually going to use some all-purpose filler. Don't knock my post box off. And again, I generally use this for you know, different terrains and stuff, because you can do so much with it. But generally, I think I'm gonna just build it up, and then what I'll do is I'll file it down once it's dry and get the exact shape that I want. Get sandpaper around it, but you can, and it does dry. Doesn't take too long to dry. But generally, it works really well for doing funny shapes like this. If you go and look at my Thunderbird 2 hanger, and Thunderbird 2 itself scratch build, you'll see how much filler I use to try and get some of those funny shapes, difficult shapes on TB2. You'll see, that was a tricky one, but I enjoyed that. It was good. So even if you get some indentures, so I'm not working with teeth here. If you, even if you get some like indentations, then that adds to the effect. So never panic, never stress about it going wrong, because actually, I find in the long run it adds to the character. Wow, that's the end of part 2. Thank you for watching. I've just had a bit of a Blue Peter moment, brought out the other one that I've been working on. We've put this fence around the back. But next time, part 3 will be me priming, painting. So you can see what that's probably going to look like eventually. So thank you for watching. Please check out Instagram, because that's where I post everything. These will be on there. And also Facebook, another good place to have a look. And then Tumblr as well. Got some good stuff on there. Check out my Etsy shop. Things similar to this for sale. Rally dioramas, a lot. Yes, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you want. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Cheers.